Hello everybody, welcome to your Good Vibrations reading for this week of October 8th, 2017. So, we have Sagittarius energy this week. You know, if you've been listening to my readings for a while, Sag is one of my 3 favorites of the zodiac. I love Sagittarius because it is that fired up part of us that wants more, that wants broader thinking, new philosophy, always pushing the boundaries. This is the excitement many of us feel when we travel and see new cultures and new ways of being, even if it's to the town right next door to where we live. It's getting out of our comfort zone. It's really trying to push ourselves further. All right, so our symbol for this week is Sagittarius 15. The groundhog looking for its shadow on Groundhog Day, February 2nd. Now, I've been getting really strong feelings in the week leading up to this reading about the importance of setting up our experience. And I was looking at the spiritual meaning of groundhog as a spirit totem. And groundhog, one site I looked at termed it as dig deeper to fully experience life and like get at the root of something. We think about the groundhog and how much of their life is spent rooting around underneath the surface. Boy, I got some strong little animals all around me here chirping away. And there's this sense that, and with the symbol, that we're setting up the energy. And this is always true. This is the way energy works, is that in the moment really matters because you're setting up the energy for then what eventually transpires in the physical. It's like when I work with horses and people are very concerned about a physical problem that has manifested in the horse. And I actually have to be the bearer of the news that there's, I can offer some comfort to the horse in terms of energy work, but I'm kind of not interested in whatever is currently happening physically because it's already too late. That has already manifested. So all you can do is kind of pick up where you are and try to set the energy so that it's clean and clear going forward from there. So I'm interested in getting ahead of a problem with a horse or a human in my sessions so that you line up kind of a clear runway for yourself of where you're looking to go. In the case of a horse, it's just getting them clear so they can be in tune with their own harmony and therefore do their healing work with the human that they're partnered with. So this is where what's physically going on with you in your life experience at this moment, the encouragement this week as a test for you is to think about where do you want to be when Sagittarius starts. That's November 22nd. And what will play out between November 22nd and February 2nd, which is what's indicated here. What do you want to happen in that time frame? That's all I want your sights to be set on this week. And again, this is just an example. It's like your team is just saying, hey, this matters right now, right here. The animals are totally chiming in on this, like, right here, right here. You're just paying attention to how you think and how you feel this week, knowing that you are setting the energy up that is going to transpire starting November 22nd, which is an ultimate day of mastery. It's the 11 and it's the 22. Those are the beginning of the mastery numbers. And so it's a big deal. Yeah, that's part of why I like Sag so much, is because I feel the mastery of Sagittarius in being one that pushes change, which is so necessary for us to evolve. So you paying attention this week to what your thoughts are focused on, what are your feelings focused on, Get yourself out of whatever is transpiring in the physical, because you set that energy up months ago. That's the way energy works. So being mindful now helps you to get clearer for the future, for what you're really wanting in the future. So this is kind of a test for us. That's what I get a very strong sense of. So let's get into the cards, because the cards are going to indicate kind of what direction you might look at in order to help shape your thoughts and your feelings around a direction for this week, knowing that you're looking at energy that actually becomes physically manifested in your experience down the road into that later part of November, and really carrying through that beginning of February. These dates, it's not very often in my readings that the specific dates are coming up, but I have been saying in multiple readings leading up to now that I feel a sense of excitement around the winter time. A real chance for us to go within and to get clear on what we're looking to do. And next year is going to be actually an 11 year. I had thought it was going to be a 2 year in numerology, but when you add up all the figures, it's actually an 11 year. So this is about your mastery coming forward. You know, we've been blazing a new path. We've been trying out some new things in this year, a 1 year, starting of a 9-year cycle. And now we're moving into an 11 year. I don't feel called to reduce that to a 2. I really feel like we're going to be mastering something brand new for ourselves and for humanity in general. And there's going to be a huge shift that happens. So this winter time is going to be an important time of defining for yourself kind of how you want to move forward, what you want to retool. And I want to give you every inch of breadth that I know that you have as an infinite being to really think about all the options that are out there, okay? There are many, many ways to go about things that we consider to be very, I want to say like a stodgy part of our lives, like what it's like to run your home life and what it's like to be married and what it's like to have your work. There are way more options to all of that than we give ourselves credit to even think about, because we just walk the path. We just receive information and then we're like, okay, like a robot. This is what I'm doing, like the path of being, through 12 years of school, and then you immediately go into college. Not for everybody, but I'm saying this is a common pathway. 12 years of school, into college for 4 years, out of college, work to get into whatever you studied for a field. And chink, 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 move your way up the ladder, and you get married by a certain point, and you have kids by a certain point, and then you're involved in your kids' lives. And, we know these patterns very well. 2018 is not a year of carrying out the same old patterns. It's about creating new ones, particularly in those kind of instances where we're talking about big chunks of your life, and might love relationships look very different next year. And you might be testing the waters as to what works for you. And all that matters is that it works for you. You don't need the buy-in of everybody around you. So that's one example, but I'm talking, think about the big chunks of your life. This is big stuff for next year. So the winter time is a time when we're really going to begin to delve into some of that. This is the groundhog speaking here. We're going to be rooting around beneath the surface, figuring out what matters to me. I want more than this. When my life is over, I want to be able to say, I accomplished that. Or at the very least, I looked into it. I delved into the subject, and I learned this as a result of that. And maybe you learned that a certain pathway is not right for you. That's just as valuable, because you're getting more and more clear on what is valuable in your eyes. Okay, so these dates of November 22nd through February 2nd, I feel is that time frame when we're really getting clear on the path, and it's coming, things are coming into our experience that help us to make these decisions that I've just talked about. That's why it matters. Back up a little bit to this moment, this week is a time when you are setting up the energy for things to manifest that help to get you more clear, so that then you really get grooving into an 11 year. Big deal. Yep, it's a big deal. But this is the way energy, I do want to stress, this is the way energy works all the time. This is why, for me, I've really come into this place of truly trying, and I don't want to say that meaning effort, of truly being content as often as possible in the moment, and trying to pay attention to where are my thoughts focused. Am I getting on a bandwagon with a bunch of other people and getting myself wound up? And yep, I go there. This past week of the full moon, I was there a few times, sure. By no means am I perfected at this, but I do have an awareness of it, which for me, that's a big win for me personally, is to be able to not get whipped up, to try to not get whipped up, and to refocus. I find myself being like a toddler that I need to redirect. And it's hard because the energies are very intense. We're in the middle of the shift of an age into the age of Aquarius. So we came for this. So celebrate the fact that you're here. This is a big cycle that changes every 2100 years. I mean, you came for this. So don't get too down. Don't get too lamented about everything that's occurring. This is huge transformation that is happening. The things in the world that are occurring. This is massive turnover that brings out this level of compassion and love within individual people, that really there's no better way to do it than with some of the catastrophe that we have seen and that we've experienced in our personal lives. There's a level of compassion for others and love of self that is required in order for this shift to really get some momentum going. So we came for this. And I want next year to feel like a year of mastery where you're trying things out. I want it to feel that way to you. The 11 represents Aquarius. This is the age of Aquarius that we are shifting into. And Aquarius is all about being the scientist in the lab. It's testing things out. And not surprisingly, Aquarius is my number one in that top 3 of the zodiac signs that I love, because it tests things out, because it is the great scientist. And it's not happy until it reaches a deeper level of understanding. So this is where we're at. So the energy matters. It matters what you're thinking about and feeling about, because you're setting up then experience that transpires going forward. Okay? Alrighty, let's get on with it. So I have a crystal for each of us too this week. So let me put this here so I don't drop everything. And our first card, you saw in the pictures I posted, the picture of a beautiful fairy. So Healing with the Fairies deck comes up. Again, these cards all kind of point you in a direction, because we have any number of things we could focus on. But setting up your energy this week matters. What you think and what you feel. So the fairies say, body movement. And this card just always, there's a lot of momentum in this card. Literally, there's a lot of, the fairies are all dancing around in a circle. They're kind of around a fire kind of energy here in the center. Reminds me of those kind of, I don't know if it's in the Wiccan or pagan tradition where they dance around the fire. And this crystal, my obsidian, this is called Raven to me. And this is on what I call my fire team. Aligns beautifully with the Sagittarius energy. And the Raven always gets to the sorcerer within. That's the big message. Got some sort of a web there. The sorcerer within. So how can, as you're thinking about your week, the card says body movement, but what I get a sense of, and with fire, it is fire. The fire energy is about creating that momentum with your body, and thinking about this week, what kind of activity could you take up? Because it is, at first I was going down the mental pathway, and then your team was like, nope, it is the body. It is the body. Because of the fire. And this piece is all and nothing, all at once. It's so black. It's so, you cannot see through it. And so there is a sense of, what could you do? Literally, how we use our body is important in what is produced in our experience, because it's all energy, okay? It's all vibration. So there's something with body movement that is important for you this week in setting up that energy in that time frame I talked about, November through early February, of the literal movement of body. Now, this could be dancing. I am seeing a runner. I keep seeing a runner over and over, so it could be, starting the couch to 5K little routine but it's getting your blood pumping, because that's why I saw the dancing, is I kept seeing red, and literally like whatever you can do to get that cardio up. And your team is just wanting to make the connection here, just like I talked about how the energy is set up for then a future manifestation. The use of your physical form also matters, in addition to your thinking and your feeling. Your team is saying the physical is important for what you're setting up for what's coming in the winter and then into next year, okay? Where regular, and I'm talking every day, some type of activity is important for getting things moving. It elates your spirit within you, and it allows kind of this, there's deeper, because I'm going back to the groundhog again from our symbol, there's deeper energy that is rooting around, and it's kind of sludgy. It's kind of, you don't have the transparency that is being called up for you as we think about next year. You don't seem to have the you don't have the clarity there. And so something like physical movement of the body does matter in order to give you more clarity, in order for the that sludginess. It's the only word I can come up with, because it does feel like sludge. It just feels like things aren't moving. And I'm not saying this to be alarmist about your physical health. I'm saying that it matters to keep literally that blood pumping. So you need to be thinking about this week in terms of energy momentum. What could I adopt? And Sag energy, which we have for the week, again, aligned with fire. It is fire. Sag doesn't wait. That's why Sag can be a little blunt sometimes, and stuff comes out of the mouth and you're like, whoa, okay. So I'm kind of giving it to you that way. You need to get started this week and make a commitment to it. You need to do something every day of the week. It doesn't necessarily have to be the same length every day if you want to take it a little easier on the weekend. But something wants to line up for you quickly. What's it going to be? Are you going to start Couch to 5K? And you don't have to like do the whole thing. You could start it, and then you could get to a certain point and say, you know what? No, I'm going back and I'm going to start at the beginning again. It isn't necessarily about running a 5K race. It's about mixing it up. I want to put a shout out there for a rebounder. I got one of those and I absolutely love it. So fun. It reminds you of being a kid again. It just gives you this sense of joy. There's my husband on his Harley. Like, just real excitement. So what could you do? What could you do? Or maybe you join a gym and they have a pool, so you're swimming. Or maybe a client recently told me about I think it was a type of yoga that involves swinging, or any number of things. But activity is important. That's of all the direction that your team could be offering to get that momentum started, because it matters. What's going to help you the most is activity. And you have to just make a choice and do it. You just have to do it. Okay? Very straightforward. Just like Sag. So, all right, that's your message from the fairies. Next up is the picture of the angel in the middle of what I offered. So this is the Angel Tarot deck. This is Knight of Air, intelligent, decisive, idealistic, tireless. Events that occur with great speed. Take time to carefully review your options, creative solutions. Okay? So take in that image. Your crystal is the antithesis of what it's not antithesis, that's not a good way to put it. It is the companion on the opposite side. It's the yang to the yin that I just had for the first card, which is, this is my masculine sphere. I don't have a name for it yet. But this I know to be earth energy, versus fire was the one I just used for the previous card that I know as Raven, my obsidian sphere. And these are my yin and yang components. And sometimes I'll sit with them, one in each hand, and then I'll switch and I'll feel that energy shift of the masculine feminine balance and kind of the rub of having the opposite in the opposite hand. It's a very interesting exercise. And so I feel like for the previous card, it was about activity, very clear. I feel the messages this week, they're very directive, like Sag, very blunt, very clear, succinct. So for you, the Knight of Air is about kind of taking action on the mental sphere. But this is an earth energy to me. And so it is about being decisive. There is a lot likely going on around you this coming week, because I'm seeing this events that occur with great speed. Those words are popping out to me. And that's the thing about the Knight of Air. He can be a little impulsive. A little bit like, okay, boom, over here, over here, over here. But I'm not getting that as the indication for you. More of a warning. There is a lot happening. A lot of energy, maybe a lot of people, talking and thinking, particularly in the mental sphere. There's a lot of air blowing around. And you need to look at it that way this week, because your job is to stay clear. And this crystal is offering you that clarity. It's very masculine oriented. You look inside this and it looks very cloudy. And then when you look even closer in it, you see the segmentation that is in there, it's planes, it's different planes within it that actually are very clear, but you have to look up close. So like the groundhog from our symbol, which roots around until it gets to the bottom of something, that's going to be your task this week. Remember, we're setting up the energy this week that will help us to manifest what comes into the physical starting November 22nd through February 2nd. And that takes us into the new year. That launches us off the launch pad. Okay, so this is an earth energy. And what that means is there's going to be a lot of air blowing around you. Night of air. There's going to be a lot blowing around. But you need to go deeper and get grounded. You need to stay rooted. Like a very solid tree, because this night of air, this is very fast moving energy, and when we get caught in that, very much like a tornado, we end up somewhere that we don't even want to be, because we've simply gotten mixed up in this swirling vortex that is created by other people. And we're not doing our job of standing in our light, standing in our truth, and not going with the masses. You're not meant to go with the masses. There's plenty of people who are fine with being buffeted about like that, and they don't see anything else but what they're being buffeted around by. But you're not like that, is what your team is saying. This is not you. They're giving this very clearly to me as a warning, as this may happen, but this is you. This is pure masculine energy of standing tall and proud. I want you to think of somebody like in the military, standing tall and proud, like a very strong, wise old tree, and standing in reverence to yourself, to your viewpoint. So even though usually with my messages, I'm usually giving this, try it out, and Sagittarius energy is very exploratory. But for you, I feel like there's so much swirling around you that is a bunch of hot air at best, that the best thing that you can do is to stay true to these planes of knowledge that are within you that are going to make themselves known over that wintertime period. But it requires you being strong and steady right now. Remember, we're setting the energy up for then physical manifestation in terms of experiences in your life during that wintertime period. Those experiences line you up for your mastery to come forward next year. Everything is stacking up like a big, huge array of dominoes. It's important. It matters. That's all I can say. It matters. And your team understands, because I keep seeing the cloudiness of this. Your team gets it. There might be a lot of options. There might be a lot of people pulling at you. There might be people saying, you need to make a decision. You might be forcing yourself to try to make a decision. And I just feel like you need to be just grounded and rooted this week. And just try to stay right in the moment and not get in the swirl. Try to not get in the vortex, because that energy is taking you off your game. It's not helping. It's too fast moving, and it's distracting you from what you really are where you're looking to go. So staying grounded, centered, as present as you can, and just even if things don't look clear, believe me, I'm looking in this and I'm seeing lots of planes, lots of evidence, lots of options that will make themselves clear when the time comes, but now is not the time. So that's why it matters that you just stay as clear and as okay as you can be with not having real clear answers at the moment, because it's all okay. You need to be that strong military figure, or think of it as a strong, wise old tree that's been there for centuries. Rooted, grounded, solid, strong, courageous. You can be buffeted about, but you don't need to let it uproot you. Okay? It's okay. The lack of clarity is okay. So I'm kind of like giving you a cat note here. It's totally okay that you don't have the answers or you don't know the path at the moment. It will make itself clear, especially if you pay attention to your energy right now and you're kind of going in the direction of what I'm talking about, because there's lots of opportunity here that I see that's very grounded and practical and taking steps forward. But there's too much whipped up right now with people that are around you and situations you find yourself in, and that's okay to say, nope, I'm not getting in the middle of that. Okay? Very straightforward messages this week. Alrighty. Let me get my last crystal here. Alright, so my last card is, you saw in the images, it's the mountain lion. And indeed, we do have the mountain lion with us for your card this week. The mountain lion is about leadership. I opened to what the meaning is. I didn't look at it ahead of time because I just really wanted to be real with you about it. Your crystal is my apophyllite, which is on my water team. So this indicates to me it matters. Remember, we're lining up, we're getting clear on our energy focus this week because it matters what manifests starting in Sagittarius season, November 22nd through February 2nd, mentioned in our Sabian symbol for the week. So, mountain lion is about leadership, okay? And the crystal is water. And this is about multidimensionality. This is about there being many, many options, many ways of going at things. But it's, again, from the water team. So this week, emotion matters. Your emotional approach. There is nothing more powerful for you this week than standing strong in your emotional focus. And what I get a feeling of is that emotionally, you might be feeling a strong sense of some emotion. Like, I want you to think about what that dominant emotion is that keeps popping up during the week for you, okay? Because it's important with the mountain lion, you need to take the leadership step of owning how you're feeling right now, right here, this week. So whatever is coming up, if it's bliss or contentment or joy, happiness, if it's a sense of apathy, if it's a sense of sadness or anger or grief, I don't care what it is. But this crystal, because, it's one of these pyramids, so I feel like this week, whatever that core emotion, that's the way your team is bringing it through, core emotion is going to come, it's going to rise to the top of this pyramid. It's going to be very clear, okay, emotionally. Please just take note of that and stand in it. That's what Mountain Lion is about. It's leadership. It is saying, I don't care if everybody around me is happy, shiny rainbows. I'm in anger right now. And that's where you need to be. Whatever it is. If everybody around you is whipped up and in a frenzy and is like, oh my God, the world is falling, and just, oh my God, this is horrible. Life has never been scarier, or whatever. There's a general consensus of fear in the air. If for you, I want you to pay attention to what you're feeling this week. What is the prime core emotion that rises to the top? I feel like if you bring your awareness to it, you're going to know what that is. It should be one word. What is it for you this week? Watch for it. Be aware of it. So people, as I was getting to, people can be whipped up, for instance, into a frenzy around fear. But somehow you find, I'm content. I'm content. I'm using this as a personal example here. I see the world in fear. My heart goes out to everybody who's affected by this, and there's no words for it. But somehow for me, all I can do, the best I can do, is to stay present in my own life and my own light. That is the best thing that I could do as an individual human on this planet, is to stand strong within who I am, and therefore allow this part of me to come up. It just naturally seems to rise up to the top, and I'm therefore able to feel this sense of contentment. It is content, content, content. That is the word for it. So it's going to be whatever it's going to be for you. But see, I have to stand strong as a leader for myself. And I don't necessarily proclaim this to other people, so I'm not saying you need to either. Being a leader, being this mountain lion energy, is simply that. It is just simply owning where you're at in the moment and letting yourself be that, to embody that, no matter what it is. Whether it's anger or fear or whatever, or it's this contentment and bliss, or it's somewhere in the middle. It's rising to the top for a reason. It's rising to the top for a reason, and you're going to know what it is. And so I'm saying to you this week, it is right and good and just for you to be in a place where you can just stand strong and steady in whatever that is, and let that play itself out. Let that be. Let that be who you are in the moment, without allowing it to really allowing other people to kind of talk you out of it, no matter what it is. Because we do have a sense in our society that, like, for instance, if you're in anger, that, oh my God, no, you got to think positively all the time. Get out of that, But the thing is if you just keep pushing the anger down, eventually it's the safety valve on the pressure cooker has got to go off at some point. You can keep pushing it down, maybe for 20, 30, 40 years of your life, you can keep pushing it down. But eventually it finds its release. Sometimes physically, sometimes emotionally, sometimes mentally. You never know. So the important piece for you this week is to be a leader. Be that strong mountain lion who will stand in whatever that core emotional feeling is that comes up within you. That needs to have its place in your experience this week. And for instance, if you're feeling fear or what have you, then perhaps you're going to want to, come right home and spend your evenings in quiet solitude with a candle and do what you can to nurture yourself. Taking Epsom salt baths or whatever brings you comfort. Or if you're in a place of contentment, maybe you will just naturally want to share that energy, not to proclaim it to others, but just by exuding it. Just by saying things in the midst of conversations when people are whipped up that, yeah, that I understand, but that's not where I'm at. And to be a leader in just allowing yourself to be wherever you're at. And not trying to push it down or push it away, no matter what it is, okay? Because it needs to, I want to use the word vented. It needs to be vented somehow. And that's good, bad, or indifferent. It doesn't matter what the emotion is. It's the fact that you're having it and it's rising to the top. So allow it to rise to the top and be your experience this week. Because again, we're setting the energy up. We're getting clear. If you feel anger or you feel fear or some of these more supposed negative emotions, don't be worried that you're setting up those things to then happen. What you're doing is you're venting them so that they have an expression now instead of being pushed down so that they get expressed in the physical manifestation later. So no matter what it is, again, good, bad, or ugly, it doesn't matter. I'll just allow it to be, okay? There we go, everybody. There's your messages for this week. I hope it's helpful. I just want to say it matters. It matters what you think about, feel about, are active about. Card number 1, people. Body, mind, and spirit. It all matters this week, okay? So pay attention to it like you should all the time, but for some reason your team's bringing it up for this week. So until next week, I wish you well. I wish you good vibrations.